Voila, there we go. All right, everybody. So listen, first and foremost, thank you so very much for hopping on and giving me some of your time for the first virtual tour, which is representing the United States. So super cool and awesome for that. And this is definitely something different compared to what I'm used to being on the stage in front of, hundreds of people or just kind of trying to get the crowd excited and then going into my speeches. But I think this is also pretty cool because I think it's also much more intimate. And then there's also ways for me to kind of really share some of my thoughts and my insight and experiences about what I believe will be very helpful for each and every one of you to go to the next level, whatever that may be in your life. But more importantly, like in this day and time that we are all sharing with the pandemic, is that we always kind of make sure that we are on a foundation of peace and finding balance and trying to also cultivate it if you feel as though at this moment you don't have it. So just a little background for those who don't know. Of course, the title of the tour is called the Skyscraper Tour, and it actually started back in the early winters of 2015. And I was actually one day I told myself that I wasn't going to write any more books. And I said, this is it. This is like book 100. I'm done. I'm done. It's finito. But one thing was for sure. I came out of meditation one day, and something had told me, what would it be like to create something without any expectations? What about all the things that just comes to mind, and I write about it and I expand on it. But I also I do a fast and prayer throughout the entire process, meaning that there will be no television, no cell phone unless it's for an emergency. Everything that I was doing was always about shedding back what was given to me as what was true. And instead of me looking from the outside, it was to look within. So for 2 weeks, I sat in Times Square at a cafe called Cafe Bean, and I sat there and got a coffee one morning, and I sat in the back, and in the room in the back was filled with books. It just had like a nice books all over the place. And I just sat there because one of my visions that I had, and again, this was not writing any expectations down, but the thing about it was I wanted to create something that would touch an individual's life, no matter where they come from in the world, no matter what language and culture, but when they read my words, it'll impact them in a positive way. So for the 2 weeks that I was there writing, people were coming in, they were coming and speaking whatever language that they were speaking, because of course we're in New York City, international city, but they would ask for their orders in English, of course, but they would go into the back and sit next to me or sit at a table across from me, and they would just, people would be just excited for being in the city, and I would just observe them, and I would write about it. And then, there were people who would come in every day. And then at some point, they would sit down next to me and ask me questions about what I was writing. And then as I was sharing my words, I noticed that my energy was intensifying. And then I was having a conversation with an individual who who wasn't born in my country, but came over there for the first time. And we shared a common tongue, which was about life or love or energy or peace. And they would share like a quote that they would say in their language that I'd never heard of. And I wrote it down, or we talked about the same movie that we shared together. And it was just very powerful. And when I noticed was I was also going to school at Harvard. So I was traveling to school, and when I would have my breaks, I would be in the library and I would be doing my writing in between and doing my speeches for the courses I was taking there. And once it was done, I knew that I had to come up with a title. And then that's when my grandmother called me on my last day from writing the book. And she said, you know what, baby, you are my skyscraper. I'm your foundation, but you're my skyscraper. And I knew that that was it. And so, the story behind it was also in regards to like today, is that with all that is happening in the world and everything that we've experienced, and since being quarantined, or the things that we've experienced and coming out of whatever that may be, that everything was already set. There's answers already just sitting and waiting, and the only thing that we have to do is to unblock the pathway that we placed in front of our path, whatever that blockage may be. And a lot of times people don't fail to realize, like when someone asks me about, creating the tour, what is it that you've learned in the midst of being here, being quarantined in? And I said that, being still is what the world had to deal with, even if they didn't, whether they wanted to or not. People had to be still. And a lot of times being still can be very chaotic because you have to deal with the things that you were hiding, sweeping under the rug. There were things that you always disregarded. There was conversations you didn't want to have. There was healing that you didn't want to do because you felt that your schedule was so busy. But then at this particular point in time, the pandemic had forced you to make a change, to make yourself to sit in front and say, look, you're going to be here for a couple of weeks. You're going to be here for a couple of days. And what are you going to do with that time? And so for me personally, I would sit and I would write. There was phone calls that I had figured I would make. There were even people who reached out to me who I didn't know would reach out to me because of the fact that being still and knowing that if I make a phone call, that person's going to pick up the phone because where else are they going to go? So for me, I noticed that so with Skyscraper and the whole entire backdrop of the tour and how it started, it literally is connected to what we deal with now of just knowing, understanding that we have to let things happen the way that it's supposed to. And, a lot of times we feel that, what's the word for it? Like attachment is a huge thing that a lot of us, deal with a lot too. It's like, how do you grow? How do we develop? How do we transition? And a lot of times it's letting go of the things that we're so used to. And when you're so used to the things that when you're so comfortable at doing something every day, you sometimes we forget that that may not be like this next year. It may not happen this may not be the same thing tomorrow, but we always have this underlining as though it will be. And so when you have to make the transitions and changes, a lot of us hold on to thinking and hoping that things will go back to normal and not understanding that things have to change. That's what life is about. And if we do not learn to let go and to let go, how will we ever grow? And a lot of times that's how it is with being like a tree. Like I always tell people, we are always in the presence and in the space of growing the way that trees do in their seasons. And so with us, we have to be aware that, where are we right now? Are we attaching to the things that we need? Are we attaching to the right soil to grow the way that we're supposed to bear the fruit that we need? Or are we just sitting back and trying to wait on the same things that we did, not realizing that it's no longer nurturing us for our roots? And so, so with the tour and everything that is happening and even, in these times, I wanted to just to provide some sense of words. And I think some of you have seen the post that I had today in regards to the two birds and the one sky, and just the aspect of distance, right, and projecting. And so my thing is that wherever you are, it's important that you be the word in which you want to speak and you want to hear. You need to understand that in terms of you to feel joy, you have to be joy. And if you want peace, you have to be peace. You have to be aware that where you are right now is at the perfect space and at the perfect time and at the perfect moment to go to that next level. If you just to make sure that that you all are rocking with me. If you agree, just hit yes for me in the chat. I want to see if this chat is working. So just also as well. So with all that I'm saying too, when I created the tour and also talk about Skyscraper, one of the things that I always am big on is our transformation process. And many of you who are on this talk with me, we've had many deep conversations. We've shed some tears. We had some laughter. We know each other, and we also know that we are on the same frequency and the same vibration, because if we wasn't, we wouldn't be connected the way that we are. But every so often, it's important to know that every individual has their transformation moment in their season. And I know some of you know about when I talk about the 3 stages of transformation, which is your chaos stage, your ruins, and then there's your transcending or your transformation stage. Where we are now, and how the energy and how what people are trying to figure out is, what's to come. But for me, I believe that what's most important is what's coming out of you in all of this that's happening. When I, again, goes back to attachment. If you attach to the chaotic things that people are saying or you're hearing in the news, you're going to be unbalanced. You got to understand that you have to detach and then look within and see where's your balance, where's your peace. Now, the first stage, which many of you also know, is the stage of chaos. And the stage of chaos comes is when, like, you have a new vision for yourself, or you decide to take on a new path, a new job position, create a new business, decide to, start a new relationship, or whatever that may be. But whatever you create that's new doesn't always mean it's going to be on a strong ground in the beginning. It's going to challenge your belief systems. It's going to challenge the things that you learned, the knowledge that you have. It's going to challenge the wisdom that you have accumulated. It's going to challenge your relationships with other people. It's also going to challenge, the things that you are so used to having as your normal. And the moment that happens, it strengthens you, it tests you. And if you are able to go through that process, the next stage would be the stage of ruins. Now, the thing about that is, in the stage of ruins, it's where you are after everything has been said and done. After you have given your all, after you make the decision to, create this new business, or for you to, take a leap of faith and start that new job, or go to that new position, or when you made a decision to change, your eating habit, or to change the way that you view life. All those things will put you in a particular position where it's like, this is where I am now. And most people stay in that stage only because of the fact that they may feel like that storm or that chaotic moment was too much for them. And so you see many, many people who are more now comfortable saying, you know what, if this is what it is, I'm gonna stay here. And like right now with everything that's happening, people are very comfortable. I know that, we are like the stimulus package has helped out many people. Some people are getting more money now than they did when they were working. And they're like, I'm not going back to work. This is how it's going to be. But what happens when that runs out? What is the next? Because, life is going to go in a cycle. Things are going to change. So what you're going to do? You're like, you know what? I'm going to talk to them tomorrow. But tomorrow may not be what it is today. So how do you maneuver? What is your thought process? How do you know that, again, it goes back to my statement, two birds in one sky from a distance can always seem that they're soaring at the same pace, same energy, same frequency, and also soaring. But up close and personal, one could be falling and the other one could be actually soaring. And that's why it's very important to realize up close and personal, where are you? And being honest with yourself and saying, oh, well, this is where I'm at my level. And if you feel as though that this is a level that's getting you to a higher level from within, then great. But if you feel as that you're still struggling, you're still trying to figure things out, it's like you got more work to do. So you got to be on your tippy toes. You can't be laid back in the bed and cool out and say, I'm going to be here for a week, I'm not doing anything. No, you got to build something. You got to work on something, because once all this is said and done, and whatever the new normal may be, where will you be? And so that's the last stage, which is the stage of transformation and transcending. It's always the individuals that become more than who everyone else thought they would be that actually transcend, because they do a little bit more. They save a little bit more. They study a little bit more. They build a little bit more. And that's what makes me, always makes me who I am, because I always want to focus just a little bit more. Hey, Rod, give me an hour. I'm going to give you an hour and 30 minutes. Hey, Rod, come over. I'll give you more than just a 5-second hug. I'll give you a 10-second hug. My love for you is it's intense. And I think it's important that we all realize that we all are going through a transformation stage. Many of you are, and including myself. And it's important to not be so hard on ourselves, but also give ourselves space to grow and to be flexible, and to know that we will make a little bit of what we think are mistakes, but actually, like, nothing is ever a mistake. I always say that we are perfectly made and perfect to fulfill our purpose perfectly in a world that only focuses on imperfections. And so it's important to know that even when we fail or when we fall or make a mistake, it's a perfect mistake, because it's going to still get you to where you need to get to if you decide to learn from it. And that allows you to say, again, like, your location is not your destination. So, so I just wanted to make sure everyone is aware that even in this day and time in the United States, with all that we're dealing with and everything that people, what is being projected out to the world, again, there's still peace in the middle of this chaos. And I pray and hope that each and every one of us is that peace for someone, including ourselves. We are that guiding light, or even a brighter light, because even in the midst of all of this, there has to be somebody that we can lean on and have stability with. And why not it be you? I gave a statement earlier too, saying that my mentor or spiritual advisor always said that, it's one thing to read a word or read about wisdom, but he's like, you have to be wisdom, you have to be love, you have to be light. He said, because at the end of the day, love is action. And if you love yourself, you have to do the things that allows yourself to grow and to be able to be around the space and the people that will love and love on you and love for you, even when you feel as though that you don't have enough love for yourself. Because as long as you are expanding and always trying and willing and pushing to grow, there are things and support that you don't even see that was always going to be there for you, even when you think that no one or nothing isn't. And so I'm going to pause for a moment, just in case that if anyone has any questions or wanted to pick my brain about it, please do so, or put something in the chat. But I just wanted to kind of give you just a little bit at the moment and just kind of get your thoughts about what do you think about what I just stated to you just now. And I know I hope I wasn't talking too fast. I get super excited when trying to share something that I feel like someone is actually receiving it. So when I feel that energy, I just keep on going. Let's see. So Lorena says, love is action is a very powerful statement. It was an important message for me to hear. Touche, yeah, like that's something that I believe is something that I learned, a few years ago as well, is about the aspect of love. Like, people would always like to hear things. Like, there was a statement, I think I actually wrote it down too. Um, oh, a wise man once said, you should never believe a thing simply because you want to believe it. And what's interesting for me was that it's like, yes, you need action though. I can say, I'm happy, I'm joyful, I love you, all these different things, but like love is action. And a lot of times people will love to, how do you express yourself? For me, I think one of my love languages is time, because I know that I'm always busy. But when I give someone my time, whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, I stop everything. That's my way of saying I love you, or I care for you, or I appreciate you. And it's also important when it comes to love, understand that love is understanding. So when you are dealing with individuals that you care for, and you're also going through a transformation, or you feel as though that you're dealing with some chaotic moments or whatever that may be, it's important that the people that you love, that you really sit down with them and have a conversation with them so that they can understand, because love is about understanding. So you have to create a space so that there's moments that you are able to have these transcending moments together about where I'm going, and just let you know that my language may change and how I express how I love, because my attention may be going towards something. So I may do something totally different now, so to let you know that I still care, or the way that you even love on yourself. And I think for a lot of us, we have to be aware that we, just as much as we want others to know that we love them, you have to also talk to yourself in third person. If I'm saying now a third person, to say that I love you. So for me, like when I meditate, I put my hand on my heart, and I put my hand on my center, and I always say, Rahfeal, I apologize if I ever did you any wrong, if I hurt you. I pray that all things for you will be well, and that you heal, and that you know that I'm going to be your best friend from this point on. And if anything that I do hurts you, just say it loudly in my head, because I'm gonna be the first person to hear it. And I think for me it was a powerful moment for me to sit in meditation and put my hand on my heart and say that I apologize, and saying my full name for any hurt, anything that I put myself into physically, any situation, any relationships that hindered me from actually giving my best self or being able to get closer to fulfilling God's purpose. And once I made that, say that to myself every day, I learned to love on myself more. I learned to treat myself more in a way that I'm like, wait, if I can't treat myself this way, how can I treat others? And so when other people feel my love or feel the way that how I treat them or feel the way that I give them attention, and it may seem intense to them, but it's my normal. It may seem extraordinary to them, but that may be because they may lack the love that which I have. So I'm probably in their life to show them how I love and how love is pure and intense and beautiful and bliss, so that they can figure out a way to love on themselves the way that I have loved on me. And then, so yeah, so that I love that, when it comes to what you were saying, Lorraine, like how it was a very powerful statement, and I think that it's always powerful, especially when you say love thyself. Trina, you say your message has reminded me of, let me see, has reminded me to have grace with myself and to know that we are all in this together. Absolutely. And every choice that we make is a form of self-love. Also, keep being what I want to see in the world: love, joy, connection. Absolutely. And I don't want to just slip my mind, but there was something that I wanted to say that is very important. Oh, so one thing is for sure, and everyone knows that I'm a firm God believer, and I always said to myself that everything I look at is giving God praise or giving the universe its applause for allowing me to be able to roam in this time, in this day and time. So how I eat food is my way of saying thank you. How I make a phone call, how I send an email, how I dance, how I take my shower, when I smile, like that's my way of saying thank you. And so my thing is to always be intentional with as much actions that I can and let it be known that I acknowledge that I have hands to give applause or to say I love you in sign language, because that's a blessing all by itself. And I don't know what it's like to not have it. So let me make sure that I appreciate that I do have it. It's the same thing, like, even if it's a dollar in the pocket or a cup of water when I'm thirsty, because I know there are people right now in this moment who pray and wish they had what I have right now or what you have. So you gotta always be thankful for that. And that's also being thankful in your actions, and being intentional is also a form of love, because that's loving thyself, which is again loving the universe and loving God for allowing you to be here today for what you're actually experiencing. So yes, so that's that's one of my spills. But I think that in regards to um, all that I was saying, and the fact that we are all here, and again, it could be millions of us, it could be one of us, it could be 10 of us. It doesn't really matter. But what really matters is the fact that there's a reason that we are all connected tonight, to be able to have a conversation, or just to kind of allow me to just to love on you and to share my words, and starting off here, because even if I could have said, no, I'm not going to, try to do this tour, virtually, because I love being around people. But I also know that, I have a tool, and I know that I'm filled with something that's greater than me, that has to be put out. And I know a lot of us, need to be reminded that this is only for a moment. Everything that has happened is for a reason, but it's also for a moment. Many of you have that I know personally have made transitions and things that you have been doing for over a couple of years now. Some of you are already going into. Some of you are actually traveling. Into new transitions, and I just think it's by mistake, and nothing, and everything that has happened, and that will, and that has happened, that is happening, and that will be happening. That you just be thankful for everything and give gratitude, but also make sure you question yourself about how you feel about those situations that are now no longer here, and the things that are to come, and the things that you are currently working on, because you are the creator at this moment to create whatever path that you want in this day and moment. Many people are actually thriving in this moment, and there are those who are suffering. But at the end of the day, you got to be aware, what is it? Where are you? Is it where you want to? The question is, what do I need to do to change? But you need to also know, have the ending or have that vision with clarity. If you say, for using the example of a car, you say, hey, I want to have a car in the next 3 years, but you got to be in detail. What season? What month? What year? What color is the car? Who's going to be in the car with you when you go pick it up? You got to look at it in every way possible, and you hold on to your vision even in these times, no matter what is being said in the news, no matter what seems to be like, oh, this is bad news, that's neither here or there. You are connected to prosperity. You are an abundance of love, light, and energy, and you must always keep yourself around the space and people that will do that for you in terms of when you feel like you need that extra push. And then with that being said, when you feel as though something or someone is infiltrating your space of peace and balance, be quick to cut it off. Be quick to with no with and it's just like just make sure that you understand this is your peace, unapologetically. That's what I meant to say, because your space is your sanctuary. It's where you're able to be balanced, to plug back in, to unplug. It's where you control. That's your space, and you should not allow anyone or anything to come in to shake that up so they can benefit them. So always be mindful that a lot of people that are on shaky grounds and are unbalanced may want to pull. And if you are a people pleaser, you will draw a lot of takers. And when that happens, you're going to be aware that you will have to start from scratch again when it comes to that. So always be mindful that you should always make sure that you're balanced, that you're full, and that when you are full and your cup is overflowing, you have more than enough to give. But you always make sure that you're taken care of first, because your peace and your love is very important. Very, very important. I see you, Kasim. Said, thanks for this. Indeed, your vision must have clarity. I see that, Debbie. Absolutely. And it's true. And again, many of you, like, love dearly. So I pretty much know all of you personally as well. But so that, again, as we move on to the next day and also complete the next week, or going into the end of the week, just be aware and remind yourself with intentions that you are connected to abundance and you are prosperity, and also take the limits off. Just because we're in a pandemic doesn't mean that you can't prepare to go off for the islands for 2 weeks next year. It doesn't mean that you can't start planning for when everything is back to normal, whatever the new normal may be, that you won't be already prepared for it. If you need to start saving, getting out of debt, whatever it may be, you're trying to work on something new, make sure that you really, really know that this is the perfect time to do it, because everything is moving in a much slower pace and people are more willing to reach out and have conversations. And also the people that you might have been trying to get and connect with, they're probably easier to get and connect with right now. And you may actually be the help that they need now than it was before when you probably needed their help. And then now you can come to terms and come up with a conversation and then both help each other. So look at everything in a positive light and try to move with intention to have a better lifestyle or a better way to create peace in your life and have balance. So that's my spill for you all tonight. And again, I'm just excited to just start this virtual tour and be able to constantly do some more studying and do more meditation and see what comes about, to me to structure and give and also connect people from other countries. Like, I know everyone here is from the U.S., but Thursday we're focusing on Mexico. So if you're on, I'm sure there'll be a lot of great friends and people that I've met along the way that's going to be from Mexico. And you never know how this all plays out, and over the years. But I'm really excited to see how this turns out. And when you all go back to the videos in years to come, we talk about how we had this conversation, or we talking to each and every one of you through the virtual tour. I know, Lorraine, I can't believe it. Can you believe it? It started like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. 5 years ago, and then look at this. I'm like, books, touring, travel, everything. So, yeah, so thank you. But did anybody have any questions? Like, anybody had anything to pick my brain? I can do so. You can even share, I guess, use the video and talk and unmute yourself if you have to. Mm-mm. Let me see.
Raphael,
I can hear you.
can you
Yes.
hear me? I have a question about what you are um, doing for all, for your whole tour. Will it
Yeah.
be like this, or is it different for each country, or can we log on for each country, or how will that work?
Yeah, so it'll be similar to this. My thing is that I'm trying to do a different location for each virtual tour location. So yes, I'm gonna so at like tomorrow they'll be putting out the information, the Zoom information for Mexico, and you can definitely log on. It'll be so each tour location will be based upon their time zone. So Mexico, I believe, is 1 hour behind us. So so again with Chile, Zanzibar, Tanzania, Indonesia. So those time frames will be based upon there. So if you're up and you're able to log on, then definitely do so. What I'm trying to do too is again also have a different location in terms of backdrops and things like that, and also trying to share different videos from previous tours that I've toured with in that country. If I'm able to travel to that country, weeks like if it's a location that I'm able to go to physically, and that tour location is like five weeks from now or a month or two from now, I'll try to actually go there and do the tour. Maybe go to a location and say, hey guys, I'm in Indonesia, and but I'm gonna still do it from Zoom, but do it from a good backdrop, and probably even have an audience if possible. So right now we're just gonna grow the virtual tour until if we're able to do physically. If not, we'll just do the entire tour up until I think it's September, October virtually, and then once the travel ban is up, we'll do the same tour, but the locations now will be actually booking the locations to do it actually there, and then do a short documentary for each location that I go to.
That's great. And the recording of tonight, will that replay? Will that be available for replay? Like if I wanted to listen to it again?
Yes. So
Because you
once
said
this
a
is
lot of
done,
really, really, really impactful things tonight. And I
thank
thought I
you.
was going to take notes, and I was like, no, because I take notes and I'm typing and
Yeah.
eating and typing and listening. And I was like, no, I just have to be with you
Yes.
and listen to what you are saying.
Yes.
So I can always go back, but there were some things that definitely, you know, impacted me the first time around. So you'll
Mm,
be able to, you're going to record it. Obviously, you're recording it, but you'll replay it.
yep. So we'll chop it up, and then they'll be uploaded on YouTube, and then we'll share it on all the social media platforms tomorrow as
Okay,
well.
great.
Yeah. So every tour, if there's a tour date, and then what we're also doing as each date comes, my goal is to give a different topic for each location. We just figured that being this is the first one for the U.S., I want it to be very transparent and also be just be organic as well. But I have a couple of my notes here, but each location will have a different topic so that it's not so much repetitive, but there's always different jewels and insight that I'm sharing, different methods that I'll be sharing in each location for sure.
Hmm. Awesome.
Yeah, one of the
Very
goals I'm
great.
trying to do now is I have to send Deepak. I'm trying to get Deepak Chopra to do one with me while
Yeah.
we're touring. So I have to send him an email tonight, and hopefully he has time. I'm like you're at home. Like we're not going anywhere. So hopefully he's able to do one of them with me. If he does, it may be a one-off where this will be a very like special one for a short like 15, 20 minute one, and then I'll let everyone know if that happens because I know he did one with me at his place, but I want to do one now where we're just doing it during the time of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Great.
Rahfeal, just very quickly, is it just going back to what Lorena asked? Is it possible that for your virtual tours that are going to be in other countries where there is a time difference, that somehow you or your team can post like 5 o'clock? I don't know. That could be challenging, but
Hmm. So you're saying
I'll be trying to figure out what time it is somewhere else, and I and
oh
I
yeah, yeah,
will.
I'll do the same.
That's my
Yes.
point. So I'm envisioning that 5 o'clock, Eastern
Yes.
time. If you want, you know, know where you're going to be, but that.
Yes. Absolutely. So yep. So I'll do that. So whatever the time is, and like I know I'm doing like in Dubai, so I'll do the Dubai time, and I'll do the U.S. time, Eastern, Central. Yep, you got it.
For those who are challenged in that area. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
and will you have an interpreter or translator? Will that be necessary or no?
No. So everybody that's going to log on. Everything is going to be in English. What we're going to also see, though, because I know YouTube does it, if we upload a video, it automatically can translate it into whatever that language may be. But of course, it may not be as accurate. So I'm going to keep everything as English. But everyone that's logging on and everywhere where I'm going, everybody also has it as a second language. So it should be fine. So everything will be in English. I may do a few things if I'm also trying to do a few creative things too, to say some things in that native tongue, but not nothing too technical. But for the most part, everything is in English.
Thank you. And the
You're
other
welcome.
thing I just thought about, you are connected to abundance. You said you said that, and it totally resonated, because sometimes we think abundance is not really accessible to us, but we are inherently and innately connected to abundance,
That's right.
to creation and the creator.
That's
So
right.
it's there for us. Like it's such a, but I'm wondering, even as I'm saying this, because sometimes it's an area of, can be an area of challenge. If we are so inherently, organically connected to abundance, access, it's available. Um, is it a learned, the thought of scarcity and lack of access and connection, do you think is a learned mindset, I guess?
Yeah, and yes, I think it's even a little bit deep too, because I think it again, like everything is, I believe everything is accessed by words. So a lot of times we are comfortable, and using as one example is we can get comfortable with people who are around us that talk with lack of abundance words. And that can trigger you to agree or to have a conversation where the energy, the vibration is at a low level. And you got to remember your thoughts. When people think about thoughts, the first thing that comes to mind too is words. Because how do you describe a car? How do you describe the things that you want out of life? And 9 times out of 10, when they say write something down, you're writing it in words. So the thing about it is to take the limits off and to be aware that, and again, it goes back to when I talked about the skyscraper. Like I came in thinking and said, I'm going to write something, but I don't have any expectations, because for example, when each one of you have met me, you did not just meet me, you met every individual that I met prior to meeting you. And every individual that I've met layered me with a belief system, some type of truth, expectation, a vision, or even some type of word about who they thought or who they think that I am, based upon their level of thinking and what they know based upon what they've been exposed to. But when you take all of those layers off, and it's a lot of work to do that, and you sit with yourself and you start to say, well, if this is the highest that I've thought of myself, what is higher than this? And so a lot of times we have to really force ourselves to think beyond what we know and what we think is the great for us. So that may mean forcing yourself to expose yourself into things that you've never been exposed to, that makes you uncomfortable, so that you can understand what abundance is. It's like an example is like, and always say cars for an example. If I always says, hey Rob, I don't know, what type of house do you want to live in? I'm saying, I don't know. You know you can live in a mansion. Nah, I don't really want it. It's too expensive. But why is it expensive? Because there are many people in the world that actually live and own mansions. So what makes you think that you can't have a mansion? It's only because of wherever you've been exposed to, whatever's been said to you, and whatever the words is that's been placed on it, is what's the reason why you say, it's too expensive. No, that's your belief that that's expensive to you. But to somebody else says, no, it doesn't matter what the cost is. It's something that I want. And I know that because I believe that I can receive anything and everything that I want in this world because I am a creator, I am connected to abundance. There's no price tag. It's all about if I truly believe that this is for me. And I think that once we start to take ourselves away and take away the layers of why we can't have, the question is what you want going to help you go to the next level in your life? And I think that that brings about abundance too, because what we want and yearn for doesn't always mean it's going to help us grow. So we always have to question ourselves about what it is that we need. So what is that we need so that we can actually know and feel what abundance is. But that's my perspective about that, because I had to work on myself, and a lot of things
Yeah.
that I wanted did not work.
I think certainly it's great insight, and I think that often when we talk about abundance and manifestation, we don't link it to, is this going to contribute to my growth, to my well-being, to my evolution? We
For
think
sure.
it's going to enhance, my space.
Hmm.
It's going to enhance and provide me perhaps creature comforts, but I think that's huge with looking at, when we're thinking the wanting, the desire, the need, but is it going to contribute to my growth, to my evolution,
Right.
to being a better human being, to serving better? One of
Right.
the books that you introduced me to was Dying Empty.
Hmm.
And so um, for all that we desire, grasp, manifest, the objective um, is to leave. We can't take it with us. And if we do, it, what was the value of it? Because if it did not meet the need of others, because the part of the intentionality of our existence is to be of service, is to give, is to impart and deposit in others. So when I think about abundance and manifesting, yes, I want that Mercedes. I'm going to be very specific, charcoal gray. So I want that. However, there is that part that's like, that gave me pause. Like, is that going to contribute to my growth?
Yeah.
And give me
And a lot,
pleasure, though.
it gives you pleasure. I'm sure. I'm sure. But
Okay.
and it's like, and that's the key though, like to understand that everything around us is a tool for us to experience life on a higher level. If you spend most of your time trying to fulfill, like, everything is a tool, and your goal is that you understand that people were in this that have come before us have fulfilled their purpose in life to for their life work and leave it behind for us to build something even greater. And when you look at everything around you, from a chair, a spoon, pictures, a camera, these were created by people who may not no longer be here, but they left it for us to enjoy, to experience. But it's also are there for tools for us to say, well, what is it that I need to fulfill? What is it that I can do to create my greatest work, using the work that other people have left behind as tools for me? And when you start to realize that abundance, when you have abundance, when you also walk with abundance, you start to attract opportunities. And where the power lies is where you have the power and the authority and the abundance and the prosperity to take every opportunity you want. But you have the power. Your power comes when you say, I know I can take that, I know I can get that, but that's not going to be good for me. But it's also beautiful to know that you have people in your circle, in your life, that because you attract beautiful light, beautiful tools. You may have people in your circle who may not be able to get those, but you attract it, and you may be the blessing for them because you have access to what they've been looking for. So a lot of times we got to be aware that abundance and also bring a bright light. It attracts many opportunities, many experiences, and also many people. but the power of you lies in on what to take and what to leave behind.
Power and responsibility.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anybody else before? Because I know it's what, 8:34, so I have about another 5 minutes. If anybody had anything else wanted to, any questions or anything of that caliber. Lorraine says, "Wow, yeah, it's a powerful thing to know. It's powerful to know, and it's also scary to know how powerful you are when you realize that, wait a minute, like you're here for a purpose greater than what you can think. And you're also here with a power that you haven't really truly tapped into yet, because we've been all conditioned, or we believe that what's been filled in our heads since kids is truth and how we should move. But if you really take the limits off, if you take if you really sit back and question everything, like, wait, can I really do 50 push-ups? I've been doing 20 push-ups like crazy, but can I do 50? And when you do that, and it becomes your normal, it becomes extraordinary to other people because they always stuck in the second stage, which is the stage of ruins. But transcending and transforming is where abundance lies, because you've given yourself permission and give yourself the permission to be free, to experience life in this full potential, the full abundance of prosperity. Action. So, what does that look like? What does that feel like? When someone says, yo, I love life, my life is amazing, it's abundance, what does that look like? What does that feel like to you? And it's many different variations. And once you understand and know the process of how you got what you know is to be true and help you, and that process works for you, you have to milk it, you have to intensify it. And it's going to lead you to another way of getting to another level in your life, and another level of abundance and prosperity. And you just have to just understand that when those moments happen, you have to just be and experience all of it without any expectations. You just have to be. Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Let me see. So if no one else have, I don't know, Debbie, you had any other questions or anything that you wanted to say?
No, like, to be continued, because we could do this for well. But hi, Trina.
Oh,
Hi,
wow.
Debbie Boo.
Hi.
You look amazing.
Trina.
Oh my
So
gosh,
amazing.
likewise. So happy to see you.
Happy to see you too.
Yeah.
Good,
So
good.
I'll be looking for just the post for what time.
Else that
Okay.
joined us.
Hmm?
We have someone else that joined us.
Uh,
Oh,
was
okay.
her. She's beautiful. She went away.
Nice. Well, okay. Well, listen, I will make sure that everybody receives all the information, and I'll definitely, once this is posted, you'll see it all over the social media as well, and definitely YouTube. And then any new developments with the tour or anything that's going to be coming about. I'm actually working on some stuff right now that's really, really big. Hopefully everything goes through, which I look forward to sharing with you all as well. And yeah, and I'll keep you all posted. But thank you so much for just joining me and helping me start and launch the virtual tour. And I know that it can only get bigger and much stronger and tighter and things of that caliber. I mean, you all witnessed and seen it from beginning in many of my projects. So I just thank you so much for just acknowledging my energy, my love, and my light. Thank you, Lorena. I see the text. I cherish you too. And but no, I really do wish you all prosperity and abundance. But definitely, I challenge you to take your limits off, even during these times, and be aware that there's so much more for you. All you have to do is figure out if there's any blockage in your path, and what is it exactly, and remove it quickly. life is short and fickle, so let's experience life to the best of its ability and live it to the fullest, like to the fullest. So other than that, I will wish you all love and light. Thank you so much, and I'll be talking to y'all soon.
Bye. Bye, Lorena. Bye, Trina.
Bye.
Bye, Jared.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Bye.
See
Bye,
y'all.
everybody.
Love
Bye.
you.
Congrats, Rahfeal.
Thank you.